I sometimes tweet Sebastian Gorka, and someone accused me of not liking the Jews, and I said just because I cared about protecting small business in Hungary from rootless cosmopolitans that I am an anti-Semite is just ludicrous. My Sebastian Gorka impression is admired by Stephen Cook from the Council on Foreign Relations. I don't think in any other administration would a foreign policy practitioner at the most prestigious foreign policy think tank on earth retweet a YouTube sketch making fun of a White House terrorism advisor. But in this case, they did because Sebastian Gorka is a magnificent joke. I've been trying to read his PhD dissertation. Not that far from my Trump University jokes. It's totally unreadable, but I am hoping to do some readings of it in the future. But look, but one of the amazing things, and people were like hitting me up all over the place with this over the break, was Sebastian Gorka, of course, is hard at work in making the alpha males, which he literally said, the alpha males are back in charge now, which is like, again, I mean, you tell me not to make virgin jokes, and I know I shouldn't, but this is a grown man talking this nonsense. Anyways, who is supposedly not just like a grown man talking this nonsense who is a Breitbart editor, a grown man talking this nonsense who apparently is part of devising a counterterrorism strategy. And the real foreign policy practitioners, including people by the name of Michael S. Smith II, who, as you will discover listening to this phone call, is no prize himself. Sounds like a total NatSec nuisance, but is an actual, practitioner. He's advised members of Congress and blah, blah, blah. Now, I am not using this to prop up the traditional national security establishment. They have a lot of problems, obviously. But what I love about Sebastian Gorka, and there's a lot of people like this. There was a guy named Robert Caruso who's more on the Democratic side, though he never reached these heights, obviously. Gorka is a fraud and a scam, according to even just like the kind of basic people that make up the inner workings of foreign policy. And Michael S. Smith is a guy, the second, is a guy who tweets about Gorka a lot. And in the middle of planning how we defeat ISIS and putting the alpha males back in charge, or telling a PRI host that he's being ridiculous, or saying, how could I be an anti-Semite? My father was treated poorly by the communists. Sebastian Gorka is looking at this guy's Twitter feed at least once a day and getting very upset. So what Sebastian Gorka did last week is he called Michael S. Smith using his cell phone, not a White House phone, to ask why he's being attacked professionally. And Mr. Smith recorded this call for your listening pleasure.
Just explain to me why you're putting those emails on a social media Twitter feed.
Well, again...
No, just answer the question.
So to answer the question... I was highlighting my concerns about the fact that you are working in the White House. And
But when you're being connected to me by a National Security Council colleague, why would you react with your concerns when he's recommending you to me? How does that concern you? Why is that a reason of concern? I don't understand how Josh is connecting us is a problem for you. Is it because I didn't get back to you fast enough? Is that the reason? I mean, have we ever met?
No, we have not. As a matter of fact...
So why is there such vitriol pumping out of you constantly, every day now? It's so strange. I look at your Twitter feed, once or twice a day. And again, it's
Pause it.
half a dozen.
7, 8, or 9, or 10, or 11, or 13 times a day.
I have notifications set, so every time you tweet, I get it.
Yeah, I have a notification. It's right next to my bat phone where I orchestrate the global war on terror.
Tweets about me, and I've never met you.
Wow, are you are you defeating jihad by monitoring or trolling my Twitter feed? I mean, honestly, to begin,
oh my God. Okay.
you've called.
If that's your explanation,
you've called as a White House official. You have called an American citizen and begun the conversation very confrontationally by accusing me of animus towards you, of which I'm attempting to explain there is no animus towards you. I believe that you are a charlatan. Yes.
Not animus.
That's not. I would submit to you.
Tweets from your Twitter feed that are attacking my personal professional integrity is not animus. What is it? You trying to be friendly with me?
No. As a matter of fact, that's not the case at all. As I would submit to you that a majority of terrorism experts who have experience working with policymakers, which you do not until now, would agree that you are not an expert of level sufficient to be working in the White House with the president's inner circle.
That's one man's opinion. A man who has a 2-year-old TV clip into his Twitter feed.
Boo! But Gorka hitting back with lack of media exposure. I think you'll find that my advisors at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting would say that I had quite a sophisticated grasp of the intricacies, nuances, and strategic ramifications of terrorism. Smith. That's a name often used by Jews to cover their real identity. You aren't a member of the tribe of Gomorrah that killed Christ, are you? Or are you just unhappy that the last time you appeared in the pages of USA Today was 3 years ago? Oh, an attempt to impugn my academic credentials because my master's is from the Harvard Extension School.
None of these people can possibly be working.
What I loved about that guy Smith
they're doing all
was
this other crazy bullshit.
I am working. I'm being tweeted at.
You're just calling people
when you tweet at me, you empower the terrorists. Here's an example of Sebastian Gorka's dissertation work. Now, I admit, and is this graphic already up on screen? Yeah. Okay. The people, I'll explain it to people listening to the podcast, but honestly, like I literally don't know how to explain this. So here's a way in which I'm really humble. When I look at graphs like this, my first instinct is I'm missing something. Like there's absolutely something there must be something I don't understand here because this was used in a 200+ page PhD dissertation. Someone read this, someone graded this. Apparently it was a diploma mill in Hungary, but there has to be something there. Now, I am assured by everyone else that I have asked and prepped for this show that I am not. So what you have here is there is a arrow. On one side of the arrow in red is thermonuclear war. On the other side of the arrow in blue, it says peacekeeping. And then underneath the arrow, there is a circle. And inside the circle, the word terrorism. And then there are two small arrows that point to question marks. And that really gets to the core of the geostrategic question. Terrorism, thermonuclear war, or peacekeeping. My advisor, Louis Vicatoni, who hosted Top 40 Radio in Meriden, Connecticut, told me it was a brilliant formulation.
Wait, this is a PhD?
This is part of his PhD thesis. And actually, according to, I believe is it DXNN? Someone who blogs at Lawyers, Guns, and Money. She's blogging his entire thesis. And she does, and she did actually say, this is part one. If you scroll down, I don't remember the exact quote, but she did say, like, look, everybody who writes, and I know, where I went to college, I had to write an undergrad thesis to graduate, and just by definition, you're in school, like it's not your best piece of work. But she said,
there is no doubt that this is not something that gets rewarded a PhD at any reputable institution. So there you have it. So basically, my PhD in Trump University jokes might be a little too generous to the guy. All right, let's go to a final phone call and get to a touch more sound, and then we got to jump. You're calling from a... Wait a second. I'm sorry. I did not click on it. You are calling from a 772...
Hi.
Yeah.
727.
727. What's on your mind?
Nice. Well, at first I was going to yell at everyone who was considering dropping the Democratic Party entirely because at this point it's not whether the question is not whether we'll have a corporate democracy or a thriving social democracy.
Right.
The question is whether we'll have a democracy at all.
Yep. I agree.
Full stop.
I agree.
I mean, we've all seen Jeff Sessions. We've all seen the Republicans taking all the states, punishing people for voting, or making sure that people can't vote in the first place.
That's right.
But after seeing that Sebastian Gorka bit, okay, look, wait, let me explain something really simply. Okay, so
you're calling this program...
When I was a kid, yes. I never actually used Microsoft Paint like all the other cool kids did in my class.
Right.
I couldn't actually figure out how to use it.
Right.
So I used Microsoft's what's it called? The slideshow one. Whatever the slideshows one is to draw
PowerPoint.
Things because they had all the pretty shapes and all the lines.
Right.
In PowerPoint, that's the one.
Shapes and lines.
That it literally looks like he just used some basic shapes from a PowerPoint to make that entire
You're
graph,
calling this program to excoriate.
He used it. That's what I was also thinking, is that he used what was available in Word.
I used what was available as Word, and then I had a very important meeting.
It's called being
no.
resourceful.
It would be easier to use in PowerPoint.
Geostrategy. I had to be time efficient because I had to go to a de-Jewification meeting.
One time I was watching MSNBC with my dad and my grandpa. My grandpa is normally a Fox viewer, but he knows that Trump is stupid.
Right.
And he made a comment something along the lines of what Trump is saying is stupid, or he's crazy, or I can't remember what the specific thing it was that they said. But I said I'm less worried about that and more worried about the fact that he still hasn't learned how to form basic sentences.
Well, you'll find forming basic sentences is a symptom
based on
of the
Sebastian Gorka's PhD
SJWs.
This problem is common throughout the entirety of the, I was going to say administration, but the organization.
Yeah, I call it the organization.
Mr. Trump's organization.
I call it the Trump organization. That's what I call it.
I think you'll find that if you get outside of the, shall we say, Jewish quarter, there's far less concern about sentence structure or graphs making sense or basic coherent thought. What you will find is a desire to kill Arabs, politely asking the Jews to leave, and looking at Mr. Smith's
and to
Twitter
politely
feed.
debate with people
And what?
about that.
And
to politely debate with people about that.
Well, I think you'll find that I can be
The open sharing of ideas.
Open exchange of ideas. If you look at someone like Milo or Dave Rubin, I mean, it's ridiculous. Bill Maher is the only sensible liberal left because he makes jokes about Obama being shy.
If you would just read Milo's review of Ayn Rand, you'll find it's basically the Federalist Papers of the 21st century.
If you looked at Milo explaining why the new Ghostbusters movie wasn't funny because girls aren't funny, I think you'll find the basis for understanding my testimony in the Sarnoff trial.
You're joking about this, but that's literally the kind of guy he is. That is literally the kind of thing that he does.
Yes.
He's literally the type of person who just calls up a random guy and says, Hey, will you have a debate with me over the phone? Hey, will you talk to me about the new Ghostbusters film and how feminists are ruining the world?
This would be funny if I wasn't actually setting policy.
I won't hold you up on the phone anymore.
All right, appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Call.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.